in Mississippi. Y'all know, way back then, a young African-American nurse moved into an all-white subdivision. As you would know it, every day, a man, her neighbor, would wait for her to get home so that he could tell her, it ain't fair that you people get to stay with us. And if that weren't enough, he would take some feces and dump it in her yard at some point every day. That was his daily routine, telling her that statement, dumping feces in her yard. This woman, she would just stand there. She would just look, and she would just shake her head. She wouldn't say a word, because sometimes, y'all, sometimes you just have to be quiet. Every battle is not yours to fight. Even though all the crap in life is happening to you, everything in you wants to react. You have to stand still when the wolf comes into the field. Some things you just have to turn off. You see, I'm a walking testimony this morning. I don't know, standing here today, if I would have been able to just stand there. I'm not that strong, my resolve is not that intact. I probably would have reacted, y'all. My emotions would have probably been scattered just like those sheep were when the wolf came into the field. Here I am by myself, here I am in a subdivision, no one here to protect me, and this wolf is attacking me every day. I don't know about y'all this morning, but I'm not feeling safe in that environment. The wolf is here every day. This man, though, this man kept bringing feces to this woman's yard. Every day she just stood and she just looked at him. She listened to the words that he said. She just shook her head. Just like the wolf that comes into our lives to shake us and scatter us, beloved children of God. Well, one day, everybody say one day. One day, she got some news. The man who had been throwing the feces in her yard, you know, the wolf that was coming at her every day, trying to scatter her and make her leave. The man who had done these things, said these things, had fallen sick and was now in the hospital dying. And yes, this woman could have. She could have said, that's what he get, that's what his tail get. But she was a good woman, a Christian woman. She knew what the man did was wrong. So this is what she does. She goes to the hospital where she works. She goes to the floor that she works on. She goes into the room where that man is lying there, where he has been suffering, where he is dying. And she could have went in there, y'all know, been all up in his face, telling him all about his business, pointing all them things out. She should have picked her up. She could have actually been doing dirt for dirt, but no. She actually could have been doing this. But no. Y'all don't hear me this morning. This morning, instead of being negative, instead of doing all those things that our flesh will want us to do, saying the things that our flesh will want us to say, she took all of that negative, instead of being scattered by the wolf, she listened to the voice of her shepherd, and she knew that deep down in her soul, she was safe. So instead of the negative stuff, she blessed him. She blessed him. She reached into the box that she brought with her into the room, and she pulled out a bouquet of roses. And she gave them to him. And she said, I don't know if you remember me. He said, ma'am, I would get the ma'am. She said, I don't know if you remember me. He said, yes, ma'am. I remember you. She said, I came by here today because I wanted to pray for you. He said, you want to pray for me? After all I have done to you, you want to pray for me? She said, yes, I want to pray for you. So she began to pray. She began to ask God to save his soul. And when she had finished praying, he said, ma'am, those are some beautiful roses that I have ever seen in my life. He asked, how did you get them to grow? How did you get those roses to grow so beautiful? The woman said, well, do you really want me to tell you? He said, yes, ma'am, I really want you to tell me how you got those roses to grow so beautiful. She said, well, do you remember all those things that you said to me? Do you remember how you tried to scatter me? Get rid of me? Do you remember all those days that you came by my yard and dumped feces in my yard? Y'all not ready. You remember doing all of that? He said, yes, ma'am. And before you say anything, I just want to let you know that every time that you came by my yard and you dumped those feces in my yard, I stood there and I stayed grounded in my faith because I could hear my shepherd's voice telling me to stand still. So when you would leave, I went out there and I planted some rosebuds. Every day that you dump those feces on my yard, those little flower petals began to grow. All the stuff that you tried to do to me made me rose. By being the rose, by being there in the hospital, by being there with that man, by praying with him, was the last act that she could do before he died, and that man found peace with God. Sometimes in your life, you just have to be the rose. Sometimes in your life when all hell is breaking loose, be the rose. Sometimes when people step all over you, it's your job to be the rose. Sometimes when things may not be going your way, you have to be the rose. Everybody say, be the rose. We don't understand sometimes why God lets all these things happen to us, but we are being sharpened, we are being honed. He's taking away the thorns off of the roses so that when we go out to see other people, they can see that we have been formed and shaped, that we listen to the shepherd, that we become the rose. You don't have to leave. You don't have to be scattered. You don't have to worry about things because the good shepherd, somebody say the good shepherd, the good shepherd is always there with us. The good shepherd, say the good shepherd, will never leave us. The good shepherd will continue to lay down his life again and again, over and over for all of us. Because that's the immeasurable amount of love